Alright, so let's have a look at the Android side of things. Now, the ROM, when I first loaded it up, I didn't have any bloatware. Now, it does actually have bloatware on it because what happened is when I did a factory reset, it did come up with about 5 or 6 applications there in Chinese, but the good news is you can remove all of them. And the ROM itself is quite quick and a very stock Android looking ROM here. You can see that it has absolutely no customization whatsoever, and it is running Android 5.1. And there is a wireless update system, which is the Chuwi's over there update system they do have on there. So if they do push out any updates, then we should be able to get those quite easily, which is good to see. Now, the performance of the ROM, I've noticed no lag or anything like that. What I have noticed that is sometimes the accuracy of the touch screen isn't 100%. I've noticed that sometimes I've just tapped, for example, gallery, and it hasn't actually loaded up for me as I would expect it to, and I've had to just touch it again. Now, I don't know whether that's something to do with the screen or the ROM, but it doesn't seem to happen in Windows, at least. On the Windows side of things, I've noticed that the touch accuracy there seems to be a lot better. So I did run through my benchmarks I normally like to run on these tablets, and I'll just quickly run through those and show you the performance. So first up, this is what the ROM looks like when I first started it up. But someone, I think, when they set this up and before they shipped it out to me, they'd actually removed all of that bloatware. And this is the Geekbench 3 score. Now, this has an Atom X5 Z8300, and these scores are pretty much the same as all of those devices there. Nothing really special here. iStorm Unlimited score isn't too bad at all. There's the iStorm Extreme score and the normal iStorm score. Anywhere between 10,000 or 11,000 there is good for this chipset. And the slingshot score, actually this came out a little bit higher than I had expected. I have seen scores around 800, 900 for this one. A tiny bit higher there, probably due to the fact that thermal pads are on the chipset, and it probably doesn't get as hot as some of those other Atom tablets I have reviewed. And here is the work performance of PC Mark. And finally, Antutu benchmark score, a tiny bit lower than what I have seen with this chipset. I've seen around 62,000. This is only getting 57. I did test it twice and let it cool down and everything, and that's the best score I could get. And here is the battery life test I did. So I calibrated the display to the 200 nits of brightness that they tell you have to calibrate it to, which is approximately 50% brightness in Android. And we got almost 9 hours, and that is around the same figure I get with about 50% brightness within Windows. So battery life on the Chuwi Hi12 is excellent both in Windows and Android. So one of the best things about this tablet, I think, is the really good battery life you get out of this. And then of course with the wireless on, here's a few of the battery stats here. So you can see the screen took up, of course, most of the battery. And the screen on time was 7.5 hours. Wireless was on for 9 hours there. And that is that with the tests I ran on the tablet. So to quickly look at a couple of ebooks here, I did download a magazine. It's a PDF one, just to show you how it looks on the screen, and it looks particularly good because we do have this 2160 by 1440p resolution. It looks very nice. And the performance of it, I won't say it's wonderful, because you can see there if you do quickly skip ahead, then it's playing catch up a little bit. This is actually loading off the internal storage, but it does look really nice. And quite sharp too, for a 12-inch display. This will also be good for your comics if you want to run and look at any comics on this. You can see there is a little bit of choppiness then. I don't think Playbooks is probably the best at running this. So we'll just have a look at this Deadpool comic here. And so we do have borders either side, but it looks okay. I've only got one page or just a couple of pages. This is just a sample I have. And you see there that it looks really nice. I think most people will be very happy using this as a ebook reader and for your comics and magazines. Oh, look at that, it just crashed. I'm not going to remove that from the video. I'm not sure why that happened. Go back and just show you quickly what a book looks like as well. So here's Inferno. Also looks quite good. And this doesn't run as slow as a heavy PDF file with lots of images. I do have a couple of games installed, and I will test those ones out right now. So Clash of Clans, that's not exactly a demanding game, but it can actually get a bit of slowdown when you do have a very high level town. You've got lots on the screen there. So I'll see if I can have a quick battle against someone and how it performs there. And there's a little bit of slowdown. It seems to run a lot better than the old Bay Trail devices that had 2 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, so that battle didn't work out very well for me. But that runs fine. I mean, I have seen it definitely running faster, probably on the optical mobile phones and things like that, but I do think the general performance of that seems perfectly acceptable, and it does actually look really good on the 12-inch screen here. So move on now and just have a look and see how Mortal Kombat runs. Now this is probably one of the most demanding game I would say, and it's one of those games that's also going to run at the native screen resolution and not upscaling like other titles like Real Racing 3. Oh wow, that's really lagging. Look at that. It's like a 10 frame per second slideshow. It looks really nice on the screen, but that is just too slow, I think. Definitely too slow for my liking. Alright, so Mortal Kombat X, I think the only way to get really nice, smooth frame rates on this particular screen resolution is you're probably going to have to get the device root on it and then use one of those resolution changes applications to actually lower the resolution and run that at something like 720p or something to get at least playable frame rates. And here is a look at Real Racing 3. Now, it's just the default settings that the game has automatically detected. I'm just going to leave them as is and let the game choose what it thinks is best there. Let's see how it performs. Alright, you can see that Real Racing 3 runs just fine, and mainly because of the fact that it's not actually running in the native screen resolution. And if you hopefully heard, the volume is very loud there within this game, at least there's no problems. And I find that the overall volume levels in Android are much higher than the Windows side of things. So there's no need to have to use booster applications to try and get high volume. I think most people will be very happy with the loudness. Now to have a quick look at the light leakage here on the screen, I just get the camera hopefully to adjust to that. There we go. You can see the light leakage isn't actually too bad. There's a little bit right on the left. Hopefully you can just see my fingers there. Just a bit along here, and I think it's something that is going to really be dependent on each panel. So some panels will have a lot of light leakage perhaps, and others will be quite good. I find this one here that I have to be perfectly acceptable. Now, browser performance seems to be quite good, and I find that the on-screen keyboard, because it's so large, just makes typing on it very easy. You of course can attach the official keyboard to it to make typing a lot easier if you don't like the touch screens. Now if you want to see more on the keyboard, I do actually have a video in the playlist that covers every aspect of the keyboard, and it's not a bad keyboard, but it's not super high quality one. It's passable, the quality, because I did actually have, if you seen the video, I had a screw drop out of the keyboard, which was not good at all to see. But the performance of the default browser that is included with the ROM of this Android 5.1 ROM, it's fine. It works really good. I find that the touch response within the browser and the accuracy seems to be better than the actual ROM itself, and I'm not really too sure why that is. But even this site, which tends to be a little image heavy, works just fine, and no problems really with it at all. If I move over to YouTube, just quickly test out the speakers again. Now I'm just playing this track here in particular because carbon-based life forms don't give me any copyright issues. Okay, hopefully the microphone I'm using is going to pick up on that. That the audio, in terms of loudness in Android, is really, really good. Very loud speakers, but they still have the problem I had on the Windows version, and that is that there's still a little bit of static coming through those speakers, and the 3.5mm headphone jack, while it is nice and loud, just between light tracks, audio tracks, or even just the touch feedback noise, you can hear this hiss in between it, just a light little bit of static. And I think that's something to do with, I see it a lot on Atom chipsets, something to do with the interference coming from, I think, from the motherboard, the power, and the MediaTek chipset there for the audio. So overall, I think Android side of things, I do really like it. I like the fact that the ROM is using a stock launcher, and we do still have the apps drawer, and it's not an all-in-one kind of thing we see with some of the custom launchers. Performance of it is good. The ebooks seem to run okay, but if you're going to be looking at really large PDF files, you're going to need a little bit of patience there when it comes to searching and just swiping through, as we saw before in the beginning, that sometimes it does tend to play a little bit of catch up there, and it's not the fastest. Now, I also know that Playbooks probably isn't the fastest application either to use for PDF files. And the only things I really don't like about the Android on this Hi12 is the fact that I think the screen brightness could be a lot lower. At the moment I have it set to about 90%, and the lowest it will go, while on camera here it probably looks quite dim, I find it to be too bright, especially if you're going to be using this late night use. You're going to be reading maybe perhaps some ebooks or a magazine or comic or something. I find that that brightness level is just too bright, and hopefully someone's going to come up with a custom ROM to fix that. We can lower the overall brightness. So if you're looking for a cheap dual boot Chinese tablet that has a really nice screen, and it's a larger one, if you find the 8-inch and 10-inch tablets too small, then I can definitely recommend this one. I think the Windows side of things I've thoroughly covered in my other videos, and I do like this tablet a lot. And Android is just making, for me personally, this tablet even better, because now I can swap over and play games like Clash of Clans that you can't get on Windows Store. And the audio is also a lot louder without having to tweak that at all. Alright, so that is the video there. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you back in the channel with more up and coming reviews on various other tablets that I just recently got. And as I mentioned, if you want to see more on the Hi12, have a look in the playlist, because I do have a lot of videos in there covering the keyboard, unboxing of it, the build quality and whatnot, and Windows performance. Hopefully see you back in the channel. Bye for now.